Hey, what's up, guys? It's David again from Swordfish Bones, and here is lesson number 1 on the drums. Hope you guys enjoy. So, first thing I'm going to be teaching you guys today will be counting. Um, so, in a rock beat, it's the timing is usually 4/4 time. So, what that means is 4 counts per bar. So, one way to practice this before you get on the kit is just count to 4 and clap. So you can just do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So you can do the same thing with the hi-hat. So as I mentioned earlier, with your hi on the pedal, just keep your hi-hat closed. And then with your right hand on the hi-hat, you can just do the exact same thing when you're clapping. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So easy, right? Okay, so the next thing I'll be showing you, you'll just be adding more notes per bar. Um, I'll get into more detail later on. So first, I just want to get you comfortable with kit and doing some basic beats. Uh, so with our hi-hat, now you can try this. And the way to count that is you split it up um, by counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'll play it regularly first, and then I'll play the eighth notes after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Play it as slow as you need to. You don't have to play it fast right away. So usually when you're playing a new beat or practicing a new technique, you do it slow first and then you speed it up as you get better. Um, so you can do it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next part would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I like to count out loud. That's how I did when I was learning drums. You can count in your head, or you can have someone clap for you. One thing you can do, and it can be really helpful, is use a metronome. So metronome is something that you use to keep time. The best thing you can do for a metronome is download an app on your phone. There's tons of apps out there. You just search metronome. You can do that in iPhone and Android, and there's lots out there. You can just pick the top rated one, and they all kind of work the same. But the most important thing is you just have something that helps you to keep time. So like I mentioned earlier, the hi-hat is what I use to keep time, so it's a really important thing to just practice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So consistency is key. So what you want to make sure is that you keep the same pace always throughout a song. So make sure you don't slow down at certain points or speed up too much. Just keep it even throughout the time. Yeah, so practice that for a bit. Feel free to replay this part as many times as you can. And then once you're comfortable with that, you can play the rest, which I'll introduce the kick and snare. Okay, so now that you're comfortable with the hi-hats, playing the quarter notes, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We'll incorporate the kick and the snare. So for the kick, and this is where it kind of helps to count out loud, we'll be adding the kick on beat 1 and beat 3, and then snare on 2 and 4. So I'm not going to play that right away. We'll play it bit by bit. So remember how the hat goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to do the kick on beat 1 and beat 3. So this is how it goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do it again, maybe lifting my legs so you can, if you want to watch. It was 1, oops. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, do it as many times as you need to, and slow it down as slow as you can. Just be patient. I had little patience when I was learning, and I just wanted to keep playing fast. But the most important thing is that you practice slow first. Make sure you master it when you do it slow, and then just speed it up a little bit from there. So I'll do that one more time. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now let's kick in. Let's introduce the snare. So that is going to sound like this when you do the kick on 1 and 3, and then the snare on 2 and 4. So that is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This can be quite tricky for a lot of beginners because you're doing different things with your limbs at different times. So this is usually the first thing you want to practice for any beat. And honestly, this beat's used quite a bit in a lot of popular music. So once you can do this beat, pretty much play in a lot of songs. Again, slow, and then make sure you're keeping time. So I'll play it one more time for you. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, do the as many times as you can until you master it with a metronome, someone clapping for you, and I would recommend keep counting out loud. It just helps you mentally. At least it did for me. So once you get that nailed down pretty good, you can do the 8 notes on the hi-hat, where you do the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So this is what it sounds like when you do everything together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I can do the 8 notes on the hi-hat and break up the snare and the kick if that makes it easier for you. So just the kick, it'll sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and then just the snare, it'll sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can practice the hat and the kick, and then the hat and the snare separately, and then once you get good at both of them, then you can try to do them together. So together, this is what it would sound like. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Practice that again, slow, speed it up, and then practice to a point where you can get it to somewhere around like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Again, don't rush yourself. Take your time. Since time is what we have quite a bit during these times. So do that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and count out loud, which will help. And then, yeah. So one thing I want to explain quickly, which I didn't really mention earlier, was quarter notes and 8 notes. So like I mentioned, I'm mainly doing 4/4 time beats, which is 4 beats per measure. So quarter note, 4 of them fit in one beat, hence quarter note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's quarter notes. An 8th note basically means an eighth of that, or an eighth of a measure, or a bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so that's 8. So 8 counts in a bar. So when you're doing 8 notes, that's doing the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then the quarter notes, it's the quarter of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, guys. So this is something I made for those of you who are visual learners. One thing I did when I was first learning drums is I had a book and I had music that kind of looked like this, and I kind of looked at it, and while I was looking at it, I was playing, and then I just counted out loud, reading the numbers. I don't want to confuse you too much with reading drum music, so I'm not doing anything too advanced here. It's just something to help you if you need something to look at while you're playing. So this is kind of explaining what I was doing earlier on the hi-hat. So the quarter notes are right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the quarter notes right here. Sorry, 8 notes down right here. As you can see, 8 of those fit in a bar. So these ands are the 8 notes. And what these will sound like when you're counting out loud is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and going back to the quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can maybe pause at this part, take a screenshot, whatever you like, and kind of look at this while you're playing or clapping even. And then I'll play what it should sound like. So from the beginning, there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So I kind of ran out of breath when I was counting out loud. So let's do that one more time. We can even slow it down a tiny bit more if you want. Easier. That's 1. Oops. What happened there? So 1. Technical difficulties. I'm actually learning how to use this program. Got it today. Thought it was a cool thing to use, and just kind of an idea that I had today. Anyways, so playing from the beginning, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now we're moving on to the drum beats. Now, if this looks a little too confusing for you, I'll explain everything. So the hi-hats look just the same. These are the quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, for the visual learners, this is where you can kind of look at if you want to kind of, I guess, see where to hit the kick and the snare. So as I was explaining earlier, the kick, you hit on the 1 and you hit on the 3, and then the snare on the 2, and then the snare on the 4. So play that from the beginning here, nice and slow. This will sound like so. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the quarter notes or 8 notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and
and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there you go. I hope that helps. Like I said, I kind of had a beginner's book with me, and I kind of looked at this my first couple of lessons, and I kind of looked at so I can see, I guess visually to see when I can hit this kick and the snare while I was counting out loud. Yeah.
So that concludes drum lesson number 1. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I, like last time, hope that made sense. Feel free to comment below. Let me know if I went too fast, or if you have any questions, or if you feel like I missed anything. Feel free to comment. Honestly, that's all good. I'm no professional drum teacher. I'm just a degenerate drummer that plays in a folk punk band. And as always, like and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you guys next week, and stay safe and have a good week.